Bonjour tout le monde. Aujourd'hui, nous allons parler du papier cul. Papier cul, ça veut dire quoi? Ok, ça veut dire toilet roll, loo roll, or more in a more vulgar sense, bog roll. Okay, so that's not a very nice term. I wouldn't use that myself. But le papier is paper, and cul or cul, cul, cul is like ass or bottom or ass. So I'm sorry to be vulgar, but you know, like, I'm not a language snob. I want to teach you about actual language, language that is in common use, so that you can understand it. So let's not be too embarrassed about this, okay? Because it is quite funny to look at kind of like rude language, because it's used in everyday French. Maybe not by everyone, but certainly it's in wide usage, especially if you watch like French television or French language like TV series, or like Netflix series, or if you're just like perusing content in the French language on social media, you might come across that kind of this kind of thing, like kind of toilet humor. So the thing that brought me to this month's club content is a post that I saw from the Délire, which is a Facebook page I've mentioned before, and there was a meme. In fact, here's the image from the meme here. That's just a little image there, and what this has is un rouleau de papier toilette, so a roll of toilet paper here, and on the pink toilet paper is written this phrase: La vie c'est comme du PQ, soit c'est tout rose, soit t'es dans la merde. So that's the point. So here behind me I have, ici en fait, I've written, j'ai écrit le message dans le mème. So the text, le texte qui a été écrit dans le post Facebook. So voilà, comme ça. So what it says on this little image of a pink toilet roll, okay, is la vie, c'est comme du PQ. So you've got an abbreviation, and we've got some like French slang. It's like kind of argot. It's vulgar. It's very commonplace, but it's also informal. PQ. Soit c'est tout rose, soit t'es dans la merde. Right, so this is, I think this is quite funny, and we're going to look at the language to explain why I think it's quite funny. So, la vie, if you're a member of my French club, you'll get this handout today in your email, and you'll have this little introduction. You'll have a link to the original post on Facebook on the Délire page, and a little description here which explains about papier cul, papier toilette, papier WC, etc. And then I've got the actual quote written in text with underlined, sorry, not underlined, en rouge, so in red, we've got la vie, so we've got nouns in red in this kind of like quote, if you like. La vie is a feminine noun, and you've probably heard it from like c'est la vie. C'est la vie means that's life. Okay, like such is life. Okay, that's the way life goes. C'est la vie, la vie. So vie is life. That's not going to work if I use that. So that's a noun. It's a feminine noun. That's why it's la vie. Life. Okay, it's a noun. Little n dot in brackets. That means noun. C'est comme du PQ. Now PQ. P, it stands for papier. Papier. Le papier, that's a masculine noun. Q. Now, so here we've got two letters, P and Q. But that's like a kind of slang text way of writing or referring to the noun papier cul. Q, if you write it in this way, C-U-L, Q, that means like bottom or arse or ass, if you're like an American ass, or butt. So you're behind, basically. It is vulgar, okay? So Q is pronounced in the same way as the letter Q. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q. P, Q. So when you learn the alphabet, when you get to P and Q and you pronounce it, you're essentially using the two letters which together, one after the other, refer to papier cul. And that's kind of like saying arse paper, bottom paper, butt paper. You know, it's like, it's similar, or it's akin to saying bog roll. So bog refers to the toilet, les toilettes, and roll refers to le rouleau, so like the little roll, like the actual like paper being on it, like a spool, if you like. So here it's slightly different because instead of saying bog, they say cul. They refer to like the part of the body that you use it for, and they, instead of saying roll, they say papier. Okay. So, but it's similar to bog roll because it's vulgar, it's a bit rude, like you wouldn't say it in, you know, in polite company, but also it is like, it is used commonly, okay? So, la vie c'est comme du PQ. So, du is what we use when you have de plus le. De plus le equals du. So you won't see de and le following each other in French because it truncates or it changes to du. Sometimes it can mean of the or from the, but here it means some. Okay, so it's like an undefined amount. Some loo roll, bog roll, toilet roll, whatever you want to say. Life is like toilet paper. Life is like toilet paper. Let's use the polite version. Life is like toilet paper. C'est comme. It is like. Comme can mean, so when you're comparing things, one thing to another or one thing to other things, you can use this conjunction comme. Comme means like, but it can also translate sometimes as the word as. I can't think of any examples, but like when you, in English you say, oh, well, young people might say, so like. In French, they don't tend to use the word comme, where we use the word like that little filler, like I'm like really like, you know, like amazing. Where you use that filler like in English or American English, the French equivalent is actually the word genre. Genre means like gender or type or sort. So it's a few different things. It could be like and like that's like a Liverpudlian thing. We use the word like a lot in English, whereas the French would tend to use genre, especially people in their 20s or 30s, maybe even early 40s. That little filler is very common. So the French will say Jean, il était là, Jean. In English we'd say like I did this like, and then I went and he said like blah blah blah. Right? But the word comme in maybe like Canadian in some like Canadian stand-up comics, for example, might use comme. Il était comme. So in Canadian comedy, for example, you see Canadians using the word comme, where we use like in English as a filler. Okay, but separately in more everyday, more what's the word? Not necessarily higher register language, but in general use, formal or informal, the word comme can mean as or like. Tu es comme ta mère. You are like your mother. Tu es belle comme ta mère. You are beautiful like your mother, or you're as beautiful, or you're beautiful as your mother is beautiful. So comme can mean as or like. I can't think of any other examples of when it would be as, but if I think of some, I will let you know. But separately, comme in Canadian French is sometimes used as like a little filler, where in English we'd say like, or like. And in French, you will, instead of using comme to mean like as a filler, you will use Jean. And it sounds like the word Jean, G-E-N-S, which means people. So if you hear Jean, like, you'll wonder what it means. It just means like as a filler, okay? It's something that, like, I keep saying like, it's something that young people tend to use as a filler. Right. La vie, c'est comme du papier cul. Life, it is like toilet roll, loo roll, bog roll, if you want to be vulgar. Soit c'est-tu rose, soit c'est-tu rose. Either it is all rosy, or either it's all roses, either it's all great, basically. Soit t'es dans la merde, or you are in the shit. So I'm sorry to like use this vulgar language, but you know it is commonly used, so it's worth looking at and knowing. You probably are familiar with merde, which means shit. La merde. So merde is a feminine noun. Okay, so it's la merde instead of le merde. If you're just going shit, like an exclamation, you don't need to say la merde. But if you're saying something is shitty, or it's rubbish, it's crap, then you would probably say de merde. Okay, there's so many things that I could like, so many examples I could give you. But if you're saying, oh, this crap car, if you're making an exclamation about a noun which you're saying is rubbish, is crap, sorry to be vulgar, then you might say like, voiture de merde. De merde would be like your adjective which describes the thing that you think is crap or rubbish. So if you're making an exclamation about something that's annoying you because it's not good enough, there's a few others that I don't want to use, but you might say de merde. Okay, following a noun. But here we've got la merde. So let's have a look. La vie c'est comme du PQ, soit c'est-tu rose, soit t'es dans la merde. So dans la merde, dans means in, that's the preposition in. La merde, the shit, so in the shit. So let's look at this. Soit and soit. First of all, soit and soit, there's a repetition there of the same word. Soit, blah, 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 soit, blah, blah, blah. So what's happening here in this analogy is that these two words function like in English when we say either blah, blah, blah or blah, blah, blah. So you're giving two options that explain something. Life is like toilet paper. Either it is all roses, or you are in the shit. Now, let me go back and look at that, because that was like a kind of literal translation. So, soit and soit means either or. Soit, you say it and then you say whatever the rest of the phrase is. Soit, c'est-tu rose, it is, or it's, or that is. Tout means all, or everything. Tout. Rose. So, une rose is like a rose, a flower, but it can also be the colour pink. Rouge, jaune, bleu, vert, rose. So, think of the song La vie en rose. Let's just start. Je vois la vie en rose. I see life in pink. En rose. So if you think of rose-tinted glasses or rose-tinted spectacles, la vie en rose means in a rosy way. It's all roses. Everything's rosy. It means things are good. You're seeing something in a positive light, okay? It's to do with colour and positivity, a positive light, and often we use this imagery of roses, okay, or a rose, or rosy, something linked to the word rose. And it's the same in French. So tout rose means everything's great. It's all okay. Everything's great. Contrarily, we have t'es dans la merde. So that's like completely the opposite. You're in the shit. That means everything's bad. T'es means tu es. Tu is you. Et is the verb to be in the present tense in the second person singular. Je suis, tu es. Il, elle est. Nous sommes, vous êtes, ils, elles sont. So that's the verb etre. This is also the verb etre. So, in fact, we've got the verb etre, and etre. So here the verb etre agrees with la vie, life. It is like toilet paper, loo roll. Either it is all rosy, all great, or you are, tu es, t'es dans la merde. So we've got the verb être, which is the like one of the two auxiliary verbs. So you need to know avoir, which is to have. J'ai, tu as, il a, elle a, on a, nous avons, vous avez, ils, elles ont. I have, you have, he has, she has, etc. Or you need to know, and you need to know the verb être, which means to be. So I am, you are, he is, she is, they are, we are, blah, blah, blah. So those two auxiliary verbs will help you talk in the present tense about what you have and who you are and what something is or what it is not. But they'll also help you to form other tenses, like for example the past tense. Je suis allé. Tu es allé. If you're saying something like I went, you need to know how to say I am in French. Je suis, and then you add the past participle. Allé. Je suis allé. Tu es allé. Il est allé. Blah, blah, blah. So, if you are familiar with the verb être, you will recognize this here, and this bit here, and this bit here, from the present tense conjugation of être. You might recognize that these different, like the nouns, or the pronoun tu is abbreviated here to te, then an apostrophe. So instead of saying tu es, you say te, te, te. You put an apostrophe where the u is, make abbreviated it to tes, and then pronounce it te. That's very, very common. Now there's a song, I might have done a video about it, I've definitely done it in one of my language courses for like beginners. T'es ok, t'es bat, t'es in. There's a French, a Canadian band called Ottawa, and the song is called T'es ok. T'es ok, t'es bat, t'es in. Okay, that's a great song, and that's the title of the song. So le titre de la chanson est le groupe s'appelle Ottawan. I think it's written like that. Ça s'écrit comme ça, Ottawan, like Ottawa in Canada. T'es okay. So this means you are okay. You're all right. You're great. You're hip. That kind of thing. So here is the same thing. Tu es, you are, is reduced down to your, if you like. Okay? So, la merde is shit. And if you're just going, shit, or crap, you just go, merde. But if you're saying, shitty car or bloody car or crappy car. Voiture de merde. Okay? Vélo de merde. Bloody bike, crappy bike, shitty bike. So I don't necessarily want you to use those vulgar exclamations and expressions, but if you're learning French and like you watch a French film or a French comedian, like stand-up or like a French series, or you maybe listen to some like modern French music and you hear people being vulgar, using like expletives, or just like you watch something on social media where it's uncensored, you'll hear this kind of thing, and I want you to understand what it means in English. So we've looked at those. Now let's look at some of the comments that people have left on this little meme. Okay. Je n'ai pas encore écrit les commentaires. So here's one that someone's written. Okay, so tellement ça. Tellement ça. Ça means that or this. That's a little cedilla under the C. Just make sure that you can see that actually. Oui, okay. Allez un peu plus près. Tellement means so much or truly or really. Tellement means so much. This or that. Okay? Basically saying, yeah, that's so true. That la vie c'est comme du papier cul, du PQ. Life is like toilet paper. It's either really great or it's completely crap. Okay, c'est la vie. That's a nice one that someone's put. Numéro 1, tellement ça. Numéro 2, c'est la vie. That's life. That's life. That's what all the people say. C'est la vie. It is life, or that is life. That's life. Okay. So the third person has said, je le savais. Right, je le savais. Je means I. Le means it. That's an object pronoun. Basically, it refers to something. Le refers to the comment that was made, that life is like toilet paper. It's either all great or you're in the shit. Savait. So that is the imperfect tense of the verb savoir, which means to know. And it's in the first person singular je form. So that means I knew it. Like I knew this. So that's quite a useful one. Je le savais. Je ne le savais pas. If you put a ne here and a pas there, that means I didn't know that, or I didn't know this thing that's already been mentioned. So the le, the object pronoun, the direct object pronoun le, refers to something that's been mentioned, or like a comment that's been made. For example, the post that's been made on the Delia Facebook page. Je ne le savais pas. Ne and pas wrap around the object pronoun le and the verb savait in the imperfect tense, and it makes it negative. Je ne le savais pas. Oh, I didn't know that. But in the positive or the affirmative, it means, oh, I knew it. Oh, I knew it. So let's have a look. The fourth comment. Actually, I put A, B, C, D, E, F on my handout, but on the board I'm writing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we're looking at here. Little snip of the first 6 comments. Tellement ça, yeah, that's so right. C'est la vie, yeah, such is life. Je le savais, I knew it. Il y a de la vérité là-dessous. Okay, right, we're gonna maybe go down a little bit. This one. Voilà. Il y a means it's like kind of short form for il y a, which means there is. Il y a de la. De la means some. Vérité means. What do you think that means? Vérité. Vérité is truth or verity, right? So it's truth basically. De la is similar to du. We saw de plus le equals du. But de plus la just stays as de la. De la. And it comes in front of a feminine noun. It can either mean of the, something feminine, from the, something feminine, or it can mean some. So, there is some, I don't know why I bracketed that, but the de la bit means some. Or it just means truth, okay? It's just unaccountable, no, an uncountable number. Il y a de la vérité là-dessus. Okay, so they've written là-dessous. Normally there would be, like technically there'd be a hyphen there. So that means within that thing, or in that. Il y a de la vérité là-dessus. So that means there's some truth in that thing which is written up there. So let's look at the next one. Numéro 5, let's just do it on a new page. So number 5, fifth comment. Oui, c'est tout à fait ça. Lol. I'm going to write it as it is. Oui, c'est. Now this person's written TT. C'est TT. That's not what they've written. TT means tout. It's like a short form written version. C'est tout à fait. Tout à fait is like precisely or exactly. Tout à fait ça. Point. LOL. Yes, it's exactly that. LOL. Now, LOL means laugh out loud. It's like an abbreviation in English, but you can also have mort de rire. Mort de rire means dying of laughter. Okay, mort de rire, dead of laughter. So it's kind of the same. Okay, and the last one, number 6. Eh oui. Yes. Eh oui just means yeah. Yeah. So all of those comments that were left underneath, I think they're the first 6. They're all kind of affirmative comments in line with what's been said. They're agreeing, basically, because it's funny. So let's have a look now. Now, I think the last thing I want to mention here on this club video, it's not really about being vulgar. This is just about finding something online which I thought was quite funny, because we all need a bit of a laugh now and then. We need some levity. But also it's sort of something that's publicly available on the Délire Facebook page. Most people can go and look at that link even if they're not on Facebook themselves. But then you can see like some public comments, real life, live, like being posted live comments, which are constantly evolving, and you can scroll through them and like learn as you read, or you can join in and leave your own comment. Excuse me, knocking the microphone there. And so I focused in on the fact that they use this Papier Cul, which is slang, kind of argot. So on the basis of that slang usage, I've included at the bottom of my handout for club members a link which takes you to some lots actually of additional French slang in case you're like looking at French content on YouTube or Facebook or similar kind of stuff, and you're coming across lots of abbreviations that you don't quite understand. You might be able to find them in this list of French slang words from I think it's berlitz.com, so it's one of the dictionary websites. But also I wanted to highlight the rose, the use of rose as in being used in a figurative sense, like in English. So let's just look there at some uses. So we mentioned la vie en rose. Je vois la vie en rose. So in the song La Vie en Rose, which was sung by Edith Piaf, she sings Je vois, I see, la vie, which means life, en rose, in pink, we don't really say I see life in pink. We'd say I see life through rose-tinted glasses, or I look on the bright side of life. You'd say something slightly different in English to mean the same kind of thing in French. So in this voir la vie en rose, in this expression, to see life in pink, in order to use that expression correctly in everyday language, what you do is you identify the verb voir, which means to see, and then you would change that verb based on whoever the subject is in your sentence. So you need the subject of your sentence. For example, it might be je, I. So you take the subject pronoun I, and then you go and find out how you conjugate that depending on which tense you're using. So I'm using the present tense. I see life in pink. I see life. I look on the bright side of life. I'm optimistic. So you need to know who the subject is. It's I, je, and then you need to know how to conjugate the verb. So the verb is to see, voir. I see is je vois. And the thing that happens is it changes to this. It's a bit irregular. So you just take off the R and you put an S. Je vois. If it's he or she sees life in pink, he or she is optimistic, he or she sees things on the bright side of life, he or she looks on the bright side of life, then it would change. So it would be like, for example, what have I used in my example? Marie. Okay, so Marie is like my go-to French girl's name. Marie, it could be Michelle, it could be Sarah, it could be anything you like, okay? Whatever. Marie just tells you that I'm not talking about me or I'm talking about a girl. She, something or other. She sees. Marie voit. So V-O-I-T is the way that you spell voit when it's following a person's name. So if the subject is he or she, it could be Marc. Marc is he. Marie is she. So you could use someone's name, or you could just say elle or il. He sees, she sees, Marie sees, Marc sees. La vie en rose, life in pink. Marie looks on the bright side of life. Marc looks on the bright side of life. So sometimes in French you'll have a phrase like that. It's figurative. It's not necessarily literal. Marie does not literally see everything in pink. It's a way of saying that she looks at life in a certain way, in a positive, optimistic way. That figurative expression in French, voir la vie en rose, you need to know how to identify the subject. That's the person who sees life in a certain way. Then you identify the verb, voir, and then you change the verb based on the tense. So if the tense is the present tense, you go to your present tense conjugation in your book, the verb voir, and you'll find how you change it. So you might, for example, have the imperfect tense. So that means so-and-so used to see life in pink, or used to look on the bright side of life. In that case here, for example, you'd have voyez. Voyez. That's the imperfect. You might see, for example, I don't know, like you could have the future tense, will see. You could have the conditional, would see. Let me just see what happens if I go to like the French verb voir on like word reference or another conjugation tool or another like reliable online kind of glossary. What you can do then is you can click on the little arrow underneath the verb, and it will show you the conjugations in all the different tenses. So Yeah, I mean, like, you can look at any of the tenses. There's a present, imperfect, passé simple, futur. Okay, so the future tense. That's a nice one. Will see, verra. These are all third person singular. He or she, or one, sees, used to see, will see. Okay? So that's what you do. Right, now there's one more. Tu n'es pas rouge. Tu n'es pas rouge. Okay, let's see. Let's use the last page. So we've looked at voir la vie en rose. That means to see life in like a positive sense. Now let's look at like the opposite of that. Okay, so it also using that rose image. Okay, tout means everything or all. Tout n'est pas. So again, n'est pas is like the negative form of the verb etre. That's the verb etre, and that means to be. That is one of the auxiliary verbs used in French. Okay, so that's a super useful verb. You need to know that if you're learning or using French. Tu n'es pas rose. Everything or all is not rosy. Roses. It's not. Hang on a minute now. What do we say in English? Okay. So close to this rose imagery in an English idiom is the following. No. It is hardly a bed of roses. So if something is not or is hardly a bed of roses, that means the situation could be a lot better. So things are not great. So or things are not looking so good. There's various ways of translating this, but if you want to retain this sense of like rose imagery, then in English we would say it is hardly a bed of roses. A bed of roses is like a bed, like a plant bed. Let me just look at that word, bed. Plant bed. Bed. Bed of roses. Bed. I'm not sure what the word is for like a bed of something. Plant bed. Bed of flower. Flower bed might be able to give me the word. Flower bed. Parterre, massif. So a bed of roses would basically be like a line of the same plant, a part of the soil that's dedicated to like flowers, for example. So a bed of roses is not like un lit de rose. It's let's find the right word. Une parterre, excusez-moi, un parterre de roses, for example. Massif de rose. So it is hardly means it is not, or ce n'est pas vraiment. Okay, so I hope that's useful. So I'm sorry about being vulgar, but there we go. Voila. It is real French language, and it is quite useful actually, because you can go and you can check on that link. And even if you come back to that link in like 3 or 4 months' time, as long as it has not been deleted, you'll have more and more content that you can peruse, that you can look through and read en français. Donc voilà, let's just go over that one last time. So I've got a couple of questions about how do you say such and such in English or French. So how would you say, comment dit-on either or en français? Comment dit-on either or? So, either something, 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 or something, something, something. Soit, soit. Okay? I've got to point out there that that's soit and soit, that's actually the same as the subjunctive in the third person singular from this verb etre. So if you're learning French and you've come across the verb etre, and then at a later point you come across this subjunctive mood, then soit and soit will be familiar to you. So that's a certain spelling and pronunciation of a version of that verb être, okay? And when you use two of them together, soit blah blah blah, soit blah blah blah, it means either this or that, either or, okay? It's very useful. Ok, comment dit-on en français shit? Comment dit-on shit? C'est la merde. La merde. Or if you're saying, oh, shitty car, or this crap car, or bloody car. Voiture de merde. Okay, it's not polite. It's not polite. But de merde means it's like a way of making shit an adjective rather than a noun. Okay? Comment dit-on en français paper? Papier. Okay, papier. Papier. And comment dit-on toilet roll? Attention, if we're using the polite way of saying toilet roll, it is not papier cul. Papier cul is vulgar, okay? That means like kind of bog roll, arse paper, okay? The polite way would be papier, papier toilette, okay? Or papier WC. WC. WC, which comes from water closet. Okay, WC. Actually, an English abbreviation. Ok. Ok. Merci beaucoup. Je vous laisse là et à la prochaine fois. Thank you very much, and I'll leave you there, and I'll see you next time. Au revoir. Merci.